What's going on, everyone? My name is D. Anthony with Evolution Traders. In this video, we're going to start off with a blank chart, and we're going to be learning some supply and demand on the NASDAQ 100 futures, which is ticker symbol NQ. So sometimes I like to clear my charts. I like to kind of, find areas of resistance, find areas of support that I can use to then find short-term trends on a lower time frame to scalp or day trade. So what we're looking at here is the daily time frame, and we're going to be looking back, going all the way to around, we don't need to go too far back, but let's just go back to, the middle of October, right? So I want to see some type of low, I want to see some type of consolidation, and I want to see some type of high. So, I could go back farther in time, but I feel like this is enough data, and it's definitely going to give us enough levels to kind of play off of. So we're going to keep this very simple. What I'm going to do is draw a price level line at this low that we had here on October the 26th. That price was sitting at 14,122. Now, what I'm going to do is just let my eyes be taken to areas of consolidation or low points or high points. And what I'm looking at here is once we bounced off these lows here in October, we really started to find a little bit of resistance here, right? So if I notice these two top wicks, and this top wick being around November the 29th, if I was to draw another resistance line here, that price was 16,222, okay? So now I've got two areas of supply and demand. I've got a supply zone here. I've got a demand zone here. Now, what I want to do is find an area of support. So if I notice this little, mini 3-day channel here where we had a little bit of resistance before we finally broke through. If I was to draw a high here or here, notice how we stayed over that level. So once we broke over, we then consolidated and we found a level of support. So I like this zone here. So what I'm actually going to do is not draw a price level, because what I want to do is I want to make sure that my zone, my demand zone, is going to cover at least a few candles. And I want to also make sure I cover this area of resistance. So I'm going to start here on the left. And what I'm actually going to draw is a box. And this box is going to include touch points of these three candles and these three candles. So I'm going to drag this box across, move this down, and then I'm going to move it up a little bit. So notice this was acting as an area of resistance, and now it's acting as an area of support. Now, being that current price action is trading over this previous area of resistance, it is now acting as demand. So we're just going to quickly change this box to green. And this zone is in the vicinity of 15,482 all the way up to around 15,700. So we got about a couple hundred points worth of, support. Now, this was the last area where we kind of bounced, we gapped up, we put in a little bit of a high. I've got this, which will be demand, but I have this resistance here at 16,222. So if we do come down, I'd like to see this area be tested. I'd like to see the bulls hold this area, and I'd like to see us push higher. Now, obviously, I need to draw another price level line at our highs, which is going to be a price of 17,073. But you can notice the last 2 days here, we're kind of holding this area. So if I was to draw a little bit of, if I was to draw a little bit of a support here, we have support at around 16,747. So we've got about 250 points worth of range that we're currently in now, present day. So then what I'm going to do is go down to the 4-hour chart, and I'm going to kind of quickly zoom in here, and I want to see some more data to make sure that my 4-hour time frames are kind of matching up with what I've got. You can see demand zone here. You can see once we broke this resistance, we back tested it acting as support, new high, support, new high. So this looks pretty good on the 4-hour time frame. Again, I'm going to kind of extend this over a little bit here just to kind of give us some more data on that demand zone box. And then we've obviously got our lows here. So if I was looking at a 4-hour time frame, and I'm going to be trading off of the 4-hour, then I would essentially want to be waiting for 17,084 to get broken, retested, and then hold, and then I would go long. Or I'm looking for 16,747 to get broken, retested, rejected, and then I would start my short position. So we might be coming into a short position if we don't put in a new high, or if we put in a high and we fail to kind of build over the 17,000 level, once we start to come back down, we're going to have a little bit of area to kind of take some shorts. Now, again, we still have to go with the benefit of the doubt, and that benefit of the doubt is going to go to the bulls. So we're going to now go down to the 1 hour time frame, and we're going to see if we can find any more zones in here that maybe we're missing, right? So if you kind of notice, these zones look good. We're holding, you know, we broke out, we kind of lost it quickly, recovered it, holding as support, holding as support. So I like this zone here of 16,747. It's been tested on multiple time frames here. I also like this little bit of a gap up zone here. We don't really have any supports. I mean, you can, you know, say that this is a support here, this is a support here, but I would like us, you know, to look for those short positions under 16,747. That kind of breakdown might be good. We still got those big levels down here. So all in all, this looks good. So what I'm going to come down to now is a 15-minute time frame. And what I'm going to do here from this 15-minute time frame is kind of see these smaller areas where we had some support and resistance. So my eyes are being drawn here, and if I drag it across, it was a resistance here, and now we're kind of back at this area. So I like this area here. I like this resistance zone here because this was acting as resistance. Once we broke above it, price action came back down, tested it, put in that high before breaking down below. Okay, I also like this support here, and I do like this consolidation here. So what I'm going to do is add a little bit of a level here, and I'm going to add another level here. Now, what you're really going to see here on this next chart is when I go down to, say, a 5-minute chart, because I scalp on the 5-minute chart, we're going to start to see some pretty good ranges that we can play off of. So if you notice, we've got some support here, 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 and resistance here, and then we've got this recent high. So I'm also going to mark this level out. So you can see how your chart really starts to come to life. So if you are a day trader and you're a scalper, all you're looking for here is to just play in between support and resistance. When we come down to a level of support, we're looking for a hold. So my levels that I have going into next week is going to be as follows. Over 16,976, I'm going to look to be long. Over 17,040, I'm going to look to be long once we break, back test, and hold. And then I'm looking at resistance at 17,084. However, if we start to push up towards the 976, can't hold this area, and start to come down, once we close back below it, I'll look for a confirmation candle to get short. And I know that I've got this range that I can play down to and try to make some cash. What you can also do is you can definitely add a study, maybe some type of moving average. So for example, if I was to add the 20 SMA to this chart and kind of drag this across, now this 20 SMA can give you entries to pick based on where you're at in your bigger supply and demand zones. So notice how we're trading underneath the 20 SMA. If we were to come up and reclaim this 20 SMA, I would look for a long position. It's also breaking this area of supply. If we come up to the 20 SMA into this supply zone, get rejected, and we're trading below the 20 SMA, I'll look to be short. So you can use any moving average that you choose, whether it's the 9, it's the 21, it's the 20, it's the 10, it's the 5 to 200. And then you can kind of use that as your intraday trend line and then play in between your supply and demand zones. I hope this video makes sense. I hope you guys are able to find some levels on your chart going forward. But again, guys, as long as you have a plan and as long as you stick to that plan and you manage your risk accordingly, you guys will make money and you'll be a lot more consistent. It's when you start looking all over the place for an entry here, an entry there, an entry here, an entry there, is when you start to oversize, overtrade, revenge trade. Stick to your plan, allow your trade setups to come to you, allow yourself to continue with the trend. Don't go against the trend. If the trend is clearly going higher, you don't want to try to pick the top. You want to wait for it to get rejected at a level of supply, and then you want to see it get confirmed to the downside. I hope this video gives you guys a little bit more context on supply and demand. My name is D. Anthony. I'll see all of you guys in the next video.